Colin, people are actually getting married once again, like after the pandemic. I
Oh
mean, I
yeah.
look at a lot of my friends. Every day on Instagram, every weekend, I'm seeing somebody getting married. It's like a
Yep.
wedding fever going on.
Yeah, definitely. Right after 2 years of pandemic, right? It's like the perfect time to get married and tie the knot.
Yeah, finally, I'm happy for them. At least they're finally getting to do what they've been wanting to do for the past 2 years.
Definitely.
Actually, my friends and I were actually discussing the other day a lot. We were talking about, how do we do wedding plans?
Mm-hmm.
And, just wanted to get to know from you, like, what are some of the considerations that you should be looking into when you do plan for a wedding?
Yeah, I think there's a whole lot of things to start discussing about when we talk about planning a wedding. So stay tuned and we'll be back.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Smart Women Finance, the podcast dedicated to women where we help you manage your everyday financial issues through financial awareness. So together with me is Pauline Teo. She's a licensed financial planner. And me, myself, Rocking Rachel. I'm a insurance advisor. So we are the go-to girls of this podcast. And we've actually started this to help women out there, whether you are a young working adult, you're actually in preparation to get married or married already, or even those of you who are preparing towards retirement. So we actually go through daily, I would say quite daily financial struggles, and let's brainstorm. We brainstorm on how to make it a bit more smarter decisions,
Yeah.
right? So today we're talking about something to do with weddings. So we want to know, how do we plan a blissful wedding without breaking our bank accounts, actually?
We would like to inform you that whatever discussed in this topic and in this podcast is completely general advice or based on our own personal experience and opinions. If you are facing any financial issues, we do recommend that you seek consultation with a licensed financial planner. Thank you.
How to actually plan a wedding without breaking the budget. I think first and foremost, right, there are a lot of things that comes into play when we talk about planning a wedding, which is basically one of the biggest days of your life, right, that you can actually ever plan for. So I think a lot of things would be actually a lot of things about the wedding, right? It's all about conversation and managing the highest expectation that can come from both sides of the family, right?
Yeah, because in the Asian context, you don't just get married to your spouse, you get married
to the whole entire family, right? So I think the big day, no doubt, it feels like we're celebrating two people who are in love coming together, in terms of the holy matrimony. But actually, at the end of the day, right, culturally, it's a whole family affair, right? Because we're marrying into each other's family. We need to thoroughly be able to agree and disagree upfront, right? What are the things that we need to be thinking and managing in the first place, right? Before we actually make this big decision to say, I do, right? So what are some of the things that you think is very important for us to manage, Rachel?
Well, I think the first one is to align your expectations, both the groom and the bride side. Because for us girls, we tend, actually I would say our strength, and this could also be our weakness, is we always tend to already think about the future, right? We're wired in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So when the boy is like, after proposing, they may have asked you like, so what are your plans for the wedding? You probably already had thought about this like a few years ago when you were dating each other.
Well, since when you're young, actually, I think a lot of us having to grow up watching Disney princesses, right?
Yeah, you already probably have a plan.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Of the ideal wedding. Yeah.
But something you need to bear in mind is that it's not just about a marriage, it's not just about your ideas. It's about both sides. So coming to the point of alignment, despite all the dreams you have, it's good to actually look at what does your fiance have to say about it. What are his dreams? What are his resources? And what is his intention of this whole wedding? How does he look at it? Is it like oh, we need to make it a grand one, or I don't mind having a small one.
Yeah.
And does that tally to your idea of a wedding? And if it doesn't, maybe you need to meet each other in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
can't do all
think
the
you are really spot on this, because you know what? A lot of mistakes that couples make is they don't really make it very clear what exactly do they really want, the intention, right? So sometimes we may have, big gaps that suddenly leads to big fights even before the wedding itself. So
Yeah.
what are we talking about here could be examples, right? As a girl, you may want a very nice wedding, right? Bling blings come in. Okay, I'm not gonna list out what are some of the bling blings that we normally plan for weddings. I think we all know. Okay, so bling blings are one of the things that could cost quite a bit, right? Starting from the wedding rings to the gold that you actually have to prepare, to look really good together with your wedding dress. Wedding dress is actually another cost on its own, isn't it, Rachel?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
Depending on what you want
especially
to plan to. So
exactly. And especially for those who wants to customize the wedding gowns, okay, and make it really personalized to, fit themselves, or, to even pass down to future generations, right? There are customs who really do that as well for wedding gowns, versus people who be more than happy to just go to a bridal house and just rent whatever outfit that, they see fit for the grand occasion. So I think it does vary in terms of expectations as well. Some of us may want a very big wedding. Some may not want such a big wedding. So I think it's very important couples do talk about things like this, like what kind of wedding do we want? How many guests are you having in mind? Are we going to get, do we want to actually have, religious practices? Like, some of them who want to get married in churches or in temples, that is customary to, their religion and cultural beliefs. What is it that we're looking at, and how much does each and every one of these expense cost?
yeah,
Okay. I think that's
and after you've done all this questioning is a lot about questioning. The one good thing about how you manage the financial side is have a budget early on. Don't have it after deciding everything. Have it before,
yes,
and have a range, I would say, right? Like preferably it'll be maybe this range, maybe about 50K. But if it really needs to stretch, have a maximum limit as well. So maybe like 75, that's the max, So that
nothing more than that.
yeah, so nothing more than that. So you have that range. So when you do this, it's easier for you to decide which idea or which thing that you want to get suits the wedding or not.
Yes.
Yeah. So this part, a lot of people don't really do it. They tend to just go with the flow, just go with their ideas. But going with the flow, although it seems like such a nice thing to do,
It's dangerous.
dangerous.
Very dangerous. Yeah.
Because like in our cases as well, we've seen so many people who have taken loans for the wedding, right? And that doesn't help in the marriage.
It doesn't, definitely. And I think one of the things that you need to be very aware of is you don't really want to start your relationship with somebody with a huge debt in place. Okay, because the same money that you are going to be in debt for, or to have as a part of your liability list, right? It should be things that matter to you. For example, owning a lovely home together to start the journey, right? That's something more meaningful than having to pay off a loan for the wedding we had like 3 years ago. It doesn't quite make sense. So I would say having a very clear budget in mind and sticking to the budget would really be one of the most important things that you need to do. And I think by setting the budget also in place, you also consciously tell yourself and manage within the family of what are the things that really is main priority to the least priority. So then you kind of like know whether or not the budget allows you to accommodate those priorities in the first place or not.
Yeah.
Because I think, because if you don't actually plan for these or have a very open and clear discussion, the only thing that you most probably be very pressured at the very end to fulfill everything on the checklist would be the budget doesn't fit and you are forced to take a loan in order to make a happy bride, which might not be that happy at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And also another thing about alignment as well as we're speaking on this topic is you
Mm,
also need to be aware of the expectations that come from
yeah.
the family member.
Yes.
So there are many people that may want to give their idea in. So that is why when you have a budget, it is easier for you to know which idea to accept or not. Like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe your parents, both the husband and wife's parents, maybe their opinions are of most importance as compared to their
Yeah.
aunties or uncles. So
Precisely.
yeah, so you want to make sure that, okay, if I can't fulfill everybody's expectation, at least let me fulfill a small part of my parents' expectation.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So this is the importance of having one line. And also you want to be bear in mind that don't be too caught up about what others have to say about your wedding. If you want to have a simple, if
Yes.
your wedding is simple, it doesn't mean your marriage is at jeopardy. It doesn't
Yeah.
signify that at
Yeah.
all, right? So a lot of people, because you gotta also be realistic as to where are you standing today. Maybe some of
Yeah.
y'all are only in their 20s, some of y'all are just touching 30s. It's very hard for you to throw a bombastic wedding if you're doing everything on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I think maybe the other more important thing that we need to be very clear, because traditionally, a lot of the weddings that happen in the olden days, it's actually sponsored or funded by parents, right? So if it's actually from the parents' budget, we most probably need to be very clear, like what are some of the terms and conditions your parents have most probably listed down for you to fulfill versus what you are actually happy to accommodate. Yeah.
mm,
And if, let's say, this particular wedding is actually sponsored by the couple themselves, then how does this actually work out well with the parents in terms of having a very harmonious kind of blend of both parties working together? I think that's the very important thing that you need to establish upfront as well. Okay,
yeah.
because sometimes I've actually seen, a hybrid model whereby the parents are happy to fork out a certain fraction of the wedding itself, and the couple's also willing to contribute a certain fraction in order to make the wedding work. So
Mm,
then you have to be very careful to make sure that, we are able to fulfill both sides of the family's requests. And also, most importantly, this is your big day. So as a couple, what will also make your day special the way you had envisioned it to be? Because this wedding is not about your parents all exactly, they already had their share. This is your big time to shine, but also giving respect to them because they are your parents. Right. So I
mm,
think these are some areas to also watch out for. The other thing I would say, it's very common these days to have culturally cross-cultural weddings. Okay, that you need to be mindful, like, what are some of the custom and tradition within the family itself? What are the areas that you can actually play on so that you can support, the union of the two families together? Okay,
yeah.
so these are, I think, would be some of the more important areas to really focus on. So no doubt the wedding seems to be, about that day itself, but try and picture this as a life journey together. Because when you're married together, it's also about the journey that you're going to be having together until when you leave the world, right? So that's until ripe old age. So don't think of the wedding and stress yourself on the day itself, which is that day of wedding, but the journey.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like the saying always goes like it's not about how you start, it's about how you
how
finish.
you end, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. So I think by having this in mind, this will also give you some kind of clarity, right? What you should be focusing on, because the wedding does not represent your whole marriage, right? That's just a small fraction of it. Isn't that
It's
right,
only one
Rachel?
stage. It's just the first
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah, correct. That's just the very, very first stage, the start in life. So make it meaningful, but make sure that it doesn't break the budget while you're celebrating, the big day of your marriage.
Yeah. So, and coming to the next important area is to be realistic with your current situation now.
Yeah,
So we've already been touching on this a bit, but just to be more uh to elaborative, like certain things when you are doing a wedding, when you go out there and you tell them, hey, I need something for my wedding. The moment you mention the word wedding, the prices triple, sometimes,
Skyrockets. Yeah.
yeah, really does go up a lot in price. So maybe these are some of the things where when you assess your resources, maybe some of you all are in families which are very talented, like different family members have different sets of skills.
Yeah.
So why don't give them the opportunity to help you out? Maybe some of them are good at baking a cake. So instead of hiring someone else to bake your wedding cake, why don't give that responsibility to one of your family members? To me personally, I don't feel like it's a bad thing, because I feel like it's a good thing to give them that sense of memory, like, hey, I managed to bake that cake for my niece or my.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that would actually give the family member, right, a sense of, as part of this entire event to make it rather special for you. They
Yeah,
wouldn't want to sabotage you or like kind of like make this event a failure, right? So they would definitely still give their best in terms of making the event very special and memorable. So I would
yeah,
say it does make a lot of sense, because I've also seen a lot of, families who are musically inclined.
yeah,
I've seen people put in together a very nice band, having family members to entertain your guests,
mhm,
and making it very personalized, because they have shared your life journey with you since you're young. And,
yeah,
as they're singing or they're telling the story of your life, it makes every single bit of the journey even more meaningful.
yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes you don't need to go very far to find what you want. It's actually right
No.
at your household.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are things that, like the decoration, because these are things where it's only going to be used once, and after the wedding, it's going to be thrown. So
Yeah.
do you really need to spend 2K on it, or can you cut it down?
Yeah.
Like there are so many DIY shops right now that you can get the decorations yourself, do a
Yeah.
simple but looks very grand wedding.
For the event. Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the great things about the wedding, right, if you're thinking about events as joyous as one, which is a wedding, it's about bringing the family together, from the very start, to make sure that the family is able to work each other out, and they are able to blend in very, very quickly at the very start. And you
Yeah,
actually start warming up, immediately, right? The two families and also extended families sometimes, right? So I think this is a beautiful way to start the journey. And it's not sometimes all about money,
mm,
it's actually actively being a part of some memorable event. And from
yeah,
years to come, you'll be telling, your grandchildren the same story, like how, this love relationship happened. So I think that's actually one way of, beautifully putting it together.
yes.
Yeah.
So to wrap it all up, we want to just recap on the points. Number one is have the alignment in order between you and your fiance. Very important. Once the couple is in alignment, it's very easy to make decisions with your family members, because both of you all
Yes,
have the same mind, right? And number
definitely.
two is be realistic with your current standing. All right,
Hmm.
don't go and spend out of your means,
Yeah.
and look at the resources that you have currently. So
Yes.
there are many resources around you. They don't need to necessarily be monetary. It can
No.
be in terms of talent wise as well. So
Yes.
make use of that. And it's actually a blessing back to your marriage. All right.
Yeah.
So so we just want to remind you here that a wedding does not represent your entire marriage.
Yeah.
So celebrate wisely and don't break the budget, right?
Definitely. It's not worth it. If anything at all, sometimes it would be great to actually get a good start by planning it well. So we would actually love to support, for those couples out there, that you're planning a wedding that's maybe in a couple of years' time. Start to plan wisely. Okay, I know the conversation is not going to be easy, but it's actually a very important first step in order for you to build something beautiful together. So we would just like you to potentially be part of our project, which is called Project Love 1000, whereby we are actually helping couples who want to settle down and to have a very meaningful journey in their lives, whereby we'll be having a workshop in order to guide you what are the areas and how to plan properly for the wedding without having you to break your budget. So if you find that that's something useful and helpful and potentially can help you along the great journey that you're about to start, do be part of our community. The link is right below. Join us and ask whatever questions you have there. We are more than happy to support you. Is that right, Rachel?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So with that, we wish you a happy planning for your wedding, and we hope to journey with you more.
Yes, exactly. We'll see you in the next episode. Take care and stay tuned. Bye.